Well, that's it. That was the last press conference of Monday. Not the first day of E3, but the press conference day. It was Sony, and they did a lot of exciting stuff. We're now going to recap what's been talked about, and you can join in the conversation by using this E3 discussion hashtag on Twitter. Talk about what you thought of this PlayStation conference, what games did you like, and what didn't you like. Right, it started off. The first thing I want to point out is there was a PlayStation Move wheel accessory show, and this has not been seen before. It was just seen a little clippets throughout, and I just noticed that. Hasn't been released yet, but sometime soon. It'll be much like the Wii wheel. PlayStation Move wheel. First on the stage was PlayStation CEO Jack Tretton. For this conference, the crowd was super pumped. The CEO Jack was being very honest with the crowd and trying to be a bit funny, but the latter didn't really work that often. They were pushing very much for people to attend E3 using PlayStation Home. Most people have been assuming that PlayStation Home had been abandoned because you haven't heard about it in a long time. It's weird, it never really took off, but I guess if you like that kind of thing, go on PlayStation Home and be virtually at E3. The first game demonstrated at the PlayStation E3 conference was one that's been often rumoured, but it is the new IP from the creator of Heavy Rain. David Cage took the stage, and he's French. The new game is called Beyond. Beyond! It's about death and dead people. It's got a subtitle of Two Souls. There wasn't any gameplay shown. The main protagonist of the game is actress Ellen Page from like Juno in X-Men 3. It was a cinematic trailer. It was specifically stated that this trailer was rendered in real time on the PlayStation 3, so it shouldn't look much like this. There wasn't much gameplay. It seems to deal with supernatural afterlife type thing. There was a SWAT team coming in after this girl. No gameplay shown, but it does look really good. It really shows that the PlayStation 3 still has the hardware punch. Be interesting to see where that goes. I wonder if there's going to be any demonstrations on the show floor. That wasn't confirmed. No date given to that, but look out for what's coming out from Beyond. Jack came back after this and he said PlayStation 3 is awesome and powerful and only the PlayStation 3 can do things like Beyond. Ooh, he referenced all the old franchises, dropping names all the way through so he could get to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's a hell of a name. Really long and silly. Confirmed, and often rumoured, is that this game will feature Vita and PlayStation 3 cross-platform play. Both games are launching day and date, and you can play against each other for up to 4 players. This game is all about super attacks. You don't really get points by doing damage or by taking damage. You don't lose points. It's about building up supers and doing a super and knocking out through that way. You gain super points by fighting and everything, and each character has 3 levels of supers, and it appears the only way to score is to do one of these super attacks and knock out enemies. There's no other way to score. At the end of that discussion, 2 new characters were confirmed for the game. Nathan Drake from Uncharted and, surprisingly, a Big Daddy from the Bioshock franchise. This is surprising because Bioshock, as you probably know, is not a Sony franchise. It is not exclusive to PlayStation. But this character will be in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, so it'll be interesting to see what other third-party characters potentially show up in the game. Battle Royale is for this holiday season, so look for it quite soon. Expanding on the crossplay, Little Big Planet 2 downloadable content will be releasing soon to let it interact with Vita. It's going to have crossplay with the Vita, but also the Vita is going to be allowed to act as a controller for Little Big Planet 2 on the PlayStation 3, giving new ways to interact. Interesting statistic was given out. 80% of all Vitas and all PlayStation 3s are online. There are 1,500 downloadable titles on PlayStation 3. Sony is really about pushing indie, innovative titles. They pointed out Journey, and then they announced several new titles, including Unfinished Swan. Sony says in the next 12 months, 200 downloadable titles. That should be good to look forward to. often all the innovation and stuff does come out of low budget downloadable titles. So I look forward to seeing this. PlayStation Plus was hammered in. This month, get Infamous 2, Little Big Planet 2 and Saints Row 2 with the PlayStation Plus description. All very old games, a lot of people might have already got them, but still, $5 a month, it does seem like a pretty good deal. Everyone in the audience got 1 year of PlayStation Plus. The crowd went wild. Of course, most journalistic outlets say, oh no, we can't accept that, could be our integrity, which makes sense. You don't want to accept gifts from the people you're critical of, so expect a lot of give-outs. I'm sure these journalists will be giving out free PlayStation Plus codes. Also, often talked about, PS1 classics are coming to Vita, but it wasn't clear if this is the whole library of PS1 classics or if they're going to do a drip feed of them. I'm sure the PlayStation Vita can emulate every PlayStation 1 game that was ever released without any trouble. Sony then went to kind of talk about multimedia stuff on PlayStation Network, saying, oh, PlayStation 3 has all this multimedia, it's the best multimedia device, and how the Vita has got a lot of multimedia stuff coming, like Hulu and YouTube, so that should be interesting. I don't know how many people are going to take advantage of that, but still, it's good to have. Call of Duty for Vita is going to probably be very big. Unfortunately, not a lot was talked about. It was just named. Call of Duty Black Ops declassified, and it's out this year. No other details were given. Assassin's Creed is coming to Vita in a tie-in fashion to Assassin's Creed 3. This game is Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. It has a female protagonist. It seems to take place before Assassin's Creed 3, but not much before. It'll be interesting to see how this compares. Of course, the original PSP had an Assassin's Creed game that generally got a good reception, so hopefully this game will live up too. Interestingly, it comes out October 30th, and also day and date is an Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation Vita bundle that includes the Vita hardware in a new white colour, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, and a 4GB memory stick. No price was given. They then went on to move on to the real Assassin's Creed deal, demonstrating a new feature that's never been seen before. Ship battles. It's going to be sea-to-sea ship battles. You're the captain, blowing cannons out of your ship. It was very difficult to see how this controlled. Do you control the ship and shoot? Because you're not just one person on a ship. Someone's firing the cannons, someone's steering. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I've never really seen anything like that before. Just like the Vita, the PlayStation 3 will have a bundle with Assassin's Creed 3 that includes exclusive DLC. Continuing with the Ubisoft theme of the conference, they went on to talk about Far Cry 3 and a new feature. It has 4-player co-op. There was a demo of this 4-player co-op showing 4 people trying to progress forward, trying to kill everyone and blow up a bridge. Interesting fact, it might be a pre-early version, but this demo had shadow fader, and the closer you got, the more shadow you could see, so hopefully that'll be fixed in the final version, because it can get a bit annoying. There was a train in the demo, which was cool, just a train rolled in. Hide behind a train. Big trains are bulletproof. Also, Far Cry 3 is going to have exclusive DLC, but unlike other exclusive deals, this is exclusive free DLC for Far Cry 3 on PlayStation. So it'll be interesting to see what that takes off. Then Jack came back, talked about Move, PlayStation Move. Everybody loves PlayStation Move, well, according to Jack at least. Talked about how it's going to be big and how it's the best motion gamer, even casual and hardcore people both like it. Then a new thing came out. A PlayStation camera, that's the camera for the PlayStation Move, and a new peripheral that's a book. Wonder Books. It's an interactive book thing. You have the book on the ground, you use the Move controller, and lots of stuff appear on the book in the TV. Diggs Nightcrawler is an announced Wonder Book title, but the one focused on most was a new thing by the Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling called Book of Spells. This is kind of like a wizard spell book, casting stuff with the Move. There was a stage demo of this, but it was really strange. It took so long. This just seemed to go on and on and on, especially compared to the really engaging demonstrations before it. The fidelity of the PlayStation Eye camera really looked weak in this when all the HD overlay assets were put in front of this 480, 640 by 480 camera. The camera fidelity just wasn't there. I also wonder how this is going to work, because there's a book on the ground, but you're not looking at that. You're looking at the version of it in the TV. And I just wonder, because you kind of can't really watch what you're doing. It'd be like trying to sew by looking in a mirror rather than looking at what you're doing. Hopefully it'll work, but I still think it's probably going to be a bit awkward. I really hope it works though. It could be something very interesting. It might not be hardcore, but at least it's something interesting and innovative. Then they went to talk on, you might have heard about PlayStation Suite for Android. That's PlayStation certified games to Android devices. Now, interestingly, so far this has been limited to Sony and, well, formerly Sony Ericsson cell phones, but it is now coming to HTC Android devices. And because, to get clearer, they've renamed PlayStation Suite to PlayStation Mobile, because it's for mobile devices, which I guess makes sense. Next up was God of War Ascension. Now, this is the God of War game. It was revealed a little while back. Still no discussion of how it takes place within the narrative of God of War, but it does look to be a standard God of War game. He blows things up and chops things down. Yeah, I can't really get into much more detail than that, basically because it looks like all God of War games before. Interestingly, he did have ability to like suspend stuff in the air. An example was he was on a dock and a dock got smashed, but he had the ability to like float up pieces of the dock and then use that to climb up. I wonder if this is just scripted environments or if this is something he can do throughout the whole game. Following the God of War Ascension demo, the whole stage went black. Everything went black, and then you started to hear flies and buzzing, and you heard someone talking. It was The Last of Us from Naughty Dog, a much hyped up game from the developers of Uncharted. It was set in a dead city with not much action. It looked really good. It was a stealthy kind of feel. You went through these buildings, you're trying to get somewhere, but then you come across people, and then you, as the main protagonist, about a 40-year-old man, and a little girl, about a 14-year-old girl, started having to fight bad guys, and you don't really clear what these bad guys are, but there was brick throwing and shotgun in the facing, and it was very slow and stealthy, not a run and gun type of feel. Very different to Uncharted. It ended with a bang with a guy getting shot in the face with a shotgun, and that was fun. The crowd went really wild about that. You could hear the enthusiasm from everyone coming in and being loud. After that, Jack finished up the show, mentioned thanks for the fans. Yay, the fans, woohoo, go the fans. Interestingly, no mention of new consoles, new hardware. It's clearly focused on PlayStation 3 and the Vita. Launching new hardware is expensive. Sony doesn't really have the cost for that. Very interesting show. If you've got anything you want to say, tweet out using that hashtag E3 discussion. We can talk about what's been going on. Sony press conference. Still very excited for Far Cry 3. I don't know how the co-op's going to work. Far Cry's all about big openness, and that co-op seemed to be very tunneled. You did one area, went through the tunnel, did another area, blew up a bridge. Still, it did look very good. Other than the shadow issue, I really did think it looked good. Last of Us looked stunning. It was really high fidelity looking. Might have been because there wasn't much going on in the environments, and you're probably, at least I hope, that you're not going to be directed down such a super linear path. It did seem to be a bit open, but often that's very easy to mask and hide in an E3 stage show. I really hope there is a bit of variety of direction and stuff. The Heavy Rain demo, Beyond, that looked good. I can't tell what kind of game it's going to be. I doubt anyone can. Is it going to be a move fest? Is it going to just be Heavy Rain 2 with weird controls, drinking juice, or that kind of thing? It does look good, but I'm going to wait to see the gameplay. Maybe some hands-on impressions before I make judgment on that. Well, that has been the Sony press conference. I think it was better than Microsoft's, but it's still, I don't know, it just seemed to have big chunks. I'd rather have like a quick fire. I think that's the way to go with these kind of things. But still, a lot of interesting stuff showing. Very much worth watching. I'm very excited for some things. A lot of exclusive with Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed 3 and Far Cry 3, probably making up for the exclusives Microsoft has with Call of Duty every single year. A lot of exciting games, some new stuff that probably doesn't interest most people, but it does look interesting. I hope you enjoyed watching it. That is all the press conferences and all the live shows for today. Tomorrow, early in the morning, I got to get up at 3 AM to do this, is the Nintendo press conference, the big guns, confirmed new hardware. Sony and Microsoft, no new hardware. Nintendo guaranteed to show off the Wii U. We've seen the media briefing, check the old episode for that, and hopefully this press conference is really going to show off games. We want games, and quite a lot of people are calling for a new IP from Nintendo, so that should be interesting, especially how it compares up to these past press conferences. Nintendo can take it out at the end and blow us all away, or they might just stagnate a bit, which they have done in the past. Anyway, thank you so much for watching these live interactive shows. Haven't had any interactions, but still, it's live. This is recorded live. We've been doing all 4 press conferences today. For more coverage and analysis tomorrow for the Nintendo show, tune in right after the show's finished. And throughout E3, there could be more live shows coming. Follow me on Twitter at AaronKnights to get all the updates. Check out the5thbestie.com where all these videos and all the live shows are posted. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.